What's up, everyone? So this week I've been thinking a lot about fear. I'm fascinated with fear. Obviously, I'm a horror fan, so that has something to do with it. But fear in just life in general, and running a business and other things. And in terms of what I want to talk about today, it's how it relates to exercise and things like that. Excuse me. So, long story short, about 15 years ago, excuse me, I started exercising on a regular basis. I found that I had gained some weight that I didn't want. I was just a lot heavier than I wanted to be, and made it a daily practice to exercise and watch what I ate. And over the course of about 6 or 7 months, I actually lost about 60 pounds and was able to create habits in my life that stuck, and eating habits and exercise habits. And throughout the years, those waxed and waned. I would exercise regularly and then I would fall off a little bit. But in most cases, I had this kind of habit of doing that on a regular basis. And so I've already had that habit developed a bit. But every once in a while, I would just get these debilitating fears, especially as Fright Rags grew and the complexities of it were getting larger to a point where I was dealing with things that I really never had to handle before. And so I remember a period of about 4 years ago, and I was dealing with some issues. It was in the winter, and we had to move our office, and we were looking for new office spaces, and I was facing sort of increasing rent. At the time, I was trying to make sure the business was on a good trajectory, but the increased rent of a new space was just going to be a lot more than I thought I could handle, especially the place we wanted to move into. At the time, we had had some major flare-ups with an artist that we used, and some issues with him and plagiarizing, which is something I'll probably go into another vlog. And I was dealing with a huge public backlash and for that, and dealing with trying to manage him and things like that. There was just so many things going on at the time. And even in my personal life, my wife's job was sort of shaky because of the company that she works with. Things were uncertain there, so there was just so much going on. And it was right around the time that it was during one of those periods where I hadn't really been working out as much. And I remember I had just joined the Y, and I decided I wanted to take up swimming for something different, just something to change my routine up. And I would get up in the morning, and I remember just getting up 5:30, coming downstairs, and this veil would just come over me, and this veil of fear. And it was almost debilitating. Like, I just didn't know what to do. I had all these things. Oh, at the same time, we also had cease and desist that came in for something that we didn't have a license for, and we were facing thousands of dollars in charges there. It was just, there were so many things that were kind of would come crashing in. I'd wake up, and after about 5 minutes of just kind of coming to, the whole world would just sort of like close in on me. And I didn't know what to do. And this happened every day. Every day I'd get up and it was the same thing. But at the same time, every day I would grab my bag, I would grab my trunks, I'd grab my goggles, I'd go outside in the cold, I'd get in my van, I'd drive to the Y, I'd get in a locker room, I'd change, I would go hopefully find my own lane in the pool, I'd jump in that cold water, and I would swim a mile. I finally worked up to being able to swim a mile in about 45 minutes. And I would just swim. And as I swam, these thoughts would come into my head, and I would push them aside because I had to breathe, and I had to work on my form and turn and all those things. And I would just go and go and go until I was done. And I would get out and I would go into the jacuzzi for about 10 minutes and relax. And then I would get dressed, I'd go home, I'd shower, and go about my day. And I look back at that time, and it was a good 2 to 4 month time period there that was, to me, in my mind, was this very tumultuous, emotionally just distraught time of my life. But I remember specifically swimming, and I remember just swimming. And it was really that got me through it. It was that allowed me to push and keep going and not give up and find ways to make it through. And lately it's been the same. I mean, we moved into a new house and things have been changing, and even things in the business have been changing, and there's been, not quite like that, but still there's always changes. There's always things going on. And I remember even the last couple of months thinking, getting up and having that little sense of fear. And what I realized is that fear is always there. It's always there. It's always your amygdala talking to you and telling you how you're going to fail in everything you do and everything you see, and how it's going to be the end for you. I know that sounds extreme, but that's what it's there for. It's a fight or flight mechanism in your body. And it overrides the prefrontal cortex from allowing you to rationalize and think through things. So for me, it's been, you get up in the morning, and sometimes that fear is really loud. Sometimes it hits you louder than that alarm clock, and you see it and you hear it and you feel it, but you keep going. And for me, I go right to the gym and I lift weights, or I go right to the gym and I get on the bike, or I go to a class where I'm running and jumping and doing all these things for an hour and sweating my ass off and then feeling exhilarated, and that gets me through. And sometimes, the fear is just a little small voice, but you can work with it. You can use that fear and you can acknowledge it and say, I know you're there. You're trying to be the undoing of me. You're trying to make me fail. That's your job. But today, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to go do something for an hour that's going to get me exhilarated. That's going to make me feel something. That's going to make me sweat. That's going to make me push. And I'm going to use that and carry it through the rest of my day. And that's really helped me get through rough patches when it just seems like things are hopeless. It happens. I mean, everyone has these things in their life. It's not just me, clearly. It's everybody. And, I don't want to tout exercise as the only thing to get you through, but I think exercising the fear, I think has real value. Even if it's just, walking around the block in the morning, or just simple stretches, or even meditation for 10 minutes. It's acknowledging what's there and what you're afraid of, and really being aware of yourself and what's there, and just saying, okay, I see you, but I'm going to keep going. So if you're dealing with anything like that, I urge you to keep going and exercise the fear.